Ricmotech getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the season finale of the first ever season of the Xtreme Motorsports Ferrari Road Oval Challenge. This is the 7th and final round of this championship, coming to you tonight from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Dylan Coyle. Joshua Wilkie is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Well, Dylan, for the last time this season, we're going to see these Ferrari Challenge cars and the stars in this championship take to the racetrack. And for the first time this season, we're running at a racetrack that's completely flat. Even Indianapolis Raceway Park and the flat track that is, I feel like has more elevation change than this with all the bumps on there. This track is flat, was originally designed for Formula One back in the year 2000, but even though it doesn't have a lot of elevation change, this track does still have some character.
Absolutely, and a pleasant good evening. I can't even speak. Evening. Goodness me, how about that for a first time? I'm actually speaking in tonight's broadcast. But yes, excited for a good night of racing here. Not a huge amount of drivers have entered in, but yeah, The Indianapolis road course is very unique. I personally do not love it from a sports car perspective. Indy car, I think it is okay with. But this current layout, it does have a little bit more technical side to it, a little bit more of these slow corners at the end of some long straightaways. Man, am I going to be really thinking about the old usage, the old Formula One layout here? I think maybe. I really liked going around turn one backwards.
Yeah, that track, it had some character to it. This one still does, and the changes go far beyond that. They actually used kind of the internal chicane and basically a reverse version of what MotoGP used a little bit, probably about a decade ago, back in the mid-2010s. They, of course, had a small little dogleg detour where the chicane is now. That chicane really the quintessential part of what is now the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Of course, IndyCar uses, NASCAR used for a very brief period of time. This was another section that was changed in the time that F1 raced here. It used to be 2 hairpins back-to-back. This is the only racetrack, an F1 racetrack that is, that any of my family members have ever visited. My dad went here for 2 F1 races back in, I believe, 2002 and 2003. I think he would have gone in 2004, but he got stuck with my bloated ass later on that year. So we're here nonetheless for what is going to be a fantastic way to end off the season. Already have some championship permutations that have been squared away. We'll start off, I think, with the main one, with a driver that hasn't set a qualifying time, in fact, of Jake Mackey. He is just about sealed it with the silver class, the only driver who's here at the moment in the silver category, so pretty much just a lock that he is going to be your champion in that category. There you can see him at 246 points. Right behind him is Sean Mulholland at 177. Bobby Childs, series admin, is slotted in third. Tom Jenkins in fourth. Robert Briss has not actually raced this season, but is still classed down in P5. Now, the AM category is a little bit more set in stone compared to the pros. Well, look at it right here. Chester Guidry has been a dominant racer up to this point in the championship. 291 points is his tally. Multiple wins, including an overall win at Indianapolis Raceway Park a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Jacobs, though, XMS admin, very quick as usual. Aaron Sunday slotted in third. Casey Knight, who will be having a chat with in a couple of moments' time, is in fourth, with Mike Mann, Neil Weston, and Jimbo Pfeiffer completing your AM field. And now we're going to take a look at the pro category. We're doing this in reverse order from what we usually do. Here's how it stands. It's certainly advantaged Mike Dam, but Michelle Squires is right there to pounce. Ilias Beaker, your winner in the second race in the pro category. Last time out, Okayama is slotted in third. Joe Nagy and John Kroon complete your top 5 in the pro category. You can see the rest of the drivers lined up there. Now, Dylan, the Dam and Squirick battle has really been going on all season, but as of recent, it's really felt more like a full-fledged fight. It isn't a matter of one being here and the other not. It feels like the two have been just throwing punches at each other as of late.
Yeah, 100%, and it doesn't appear that Mike Dam is right now in this session. I'm not sure if we went over that yet, but is this going to be a potential race or championship-defining moment for Michelle Squirick? Only 3 drivers in the pro category, but of course, remember, it's not about where you finish within your category. It's about where you finish in the overall timetable when you get the checkered flag. With around 7 minutes to go in qualifying here, if Mike Dam does join, there's a chance it's going to be at the back of the pack. I mean, that's going to pretty much be known in the next 5 or so minutes if he'll start P last. Nonetheless, it's a 2-race kind of deal. So if we had 1 race, Michelle Squirick probably wouldn't have the opportunity to overturn that deficit that she currently sees towards Mike Dam right now. But things can change in a jiffy here tonight.
Oh, that they certainly can. This track is one where even though it doesn't have a lot of elevation change, things can turn in the blink of an eye. So we'll have to see exactly what sort of frenetic style of racing we have to look forward to here this evening. Keep an eye in this zone, the final chicane section. That infield part of turn number 1 on the oval can be rather technical. Lots of drivers run into troubles heading off through that part of the racetrack. In real life, probably going to expect that in the sim here as well. You'll see a quick change here in the broadcast booth in just a couple of moments time as I step aside to let Mr. Joshua Wilkie onto the microphone. We've got 6 minutes left here in qualifying. For now, though, Dylan, I'll pass it off to you because currently have Casey Knight looking to have a chat with us, our P3 qualifier overall, second of the AM racers, very talented racer, and always a joy to have a chat with. So I'll pass the mic off to the both of you, mainly off to Dylan at the moment, so you can drag in Casey Knight to have a quick little chat before qualifying rounds up.
All right, thank you very much, Ron. Ron's going to go over to another broadcast in just a little bit, but we've got Casey Knight in the booth with us right now. Casey, you're currently third overall, second in the AM class. Looks like the AM class is going to be quite feisty here tonight, at least relatively speaking, with the other classes.
Well, there are 4 of us compared to every other class, so, you know, numbers game.
Relativity, you know?
Yeah. But, yeah, Chester and I seem we got good pace, even though my entire practice leading up to this was driving a Renault Clio for 6 hours, I think, so far today.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Do you think that helped you or hurt you at all for tonight's races?
It's made me hate this car more.
You know, I feel like that would bode for some interesting driving from you, but hey, you're only a couple thousandths, I should say, 19 hundredths of a second behind Chester Guidry for that P2 position right now. You and Chester, you think you're going to go battle it out all night in this AM class category?
You know, if we battle out for the M class category right now, if one of us gets a podium, hey, that's a success for us. I've gotten one in Barber, so that was fun. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just, this series, it started off like craziness. A lot of people hopped in, and then slowly people started to just fall out of love with this car, and it's gotten harder and harder to drive. And I think every week there's something new I gripe about it, so I'm just trying to get through this race.
That's all you can. Yeah, that's all you can possibly do here. Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course is quite different than some of the tracks that we've gone to this year. Some drivers would say that it kind of lacks a little bit of the flow that you get from maybe a permanent road course that is purpose built for road course racing and only road course racing. Obviously, the oval was the main kind of focus for Indianapolis from the very beginning. But your take on this track, your take on your season so far?
Well, I would say this is the 5th iteration of Indianapolis ever having a road course. They had that one back in the day of it, like just being 2 gigantic sweeping turns, a straight and then another sweeping turn, then a hairpin looping back onto the back straight. That one obviously didn't work out that much. Then we had the F1 circuit, which I personally love the opening to the F1 circuit. I want the opening to the F1 circuit, and then the modern end. I feel like that would just be the perfect and safest road course option, but obviously with the Pirelli tires blowing up, we can't have the banked final corner, and so the roval section of this roval is inferior roval because it doesn't use any of the oval turns, I would say. But yeah, this course is really fun. That chicane is a killer. You hit that, it triggers traction control, so you have to hit that perfectly to not hit that and not get a bad run down that straightaway. The opening sector, I would say turn 3, that right-hander, you have to get onto the brakes off the exit, and you want to use as much traction as you can, but, you know, just sniff that grass on the outside, you're spinning. But, you know, I like Indy. It's fun. It is a mecca of motorsports, I would say. If you're any type of motorsports fans, you have to go to the Indy 500, so, you know, visiting here is really cool. I've done it multiple times, and I like it here. Road course, good way to end the season, I would say.
I would 100% agree with you. Indianapolis is a mecca of motorsports in the world. And if you have the chance to go to the Indy 500, you've got to go to the Indy 500. There is nothing quite like it in the entire world of motorsports and probably just spectator sports in general. But we're not racing on the oval. We are not
Sadly.
racing. Yeah, we're not racing counterclockwise. Instead, we are racing clockwise. I think, right? I'm right on that, Joshua. Casey, what do we think, you two?
Yes,
I
you
sure
are.
hope so.
It does face north to south.
Brilliant.
I've looked at Indy on Google Earth way too many times to know the direction it faces.
Well, We appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time before qualifying wraps up here. What are the expectations tonight? I'll have you answer that before you go.
Expectations are somebody's going to be yelling about the Ferrari, probably me. There might be a few bumps and bangs, but I don't really think no, I shouldn't say that. Okayama happened lap 1, and that was nasty. Sorry about that again. It's all I can do. I'm going to say it might not be as clean as the Clio SOF League that we had earlier today. By the way, a big shout out to the everybody in the Renault Clio community for putting on the Clio SOF League. They're getting that car really popular now. It's actually more popular than the Ferrari Challenge official car. So, you know, that's a fun achievement by that community to get that pushed up there. But yeah, my mind's more on track on Clios right now. But yeah, I'm expecting this to be fun.
All right, Casey, thank you so much for letting us talk to you real quick, and we'll let you get to it. It's time to grid up for race 1.
Yeah, time to grid up, time to have fun, entire full pace lap, and I'm just going to play back home again in Indiana on my computer.
Brilliant, brilliant. Make sure you get the milk ready in case you visit Victory Lane. All right, take care, buddy.
All right, you too.
Always fun to talk to any of the competitors that are with us here tonight. Joshua, hello, welcome. We're ready to get going here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Do we have the grid to run through?
I believe we do have a grid to run through here for our final round, starting off with Michelle Squirek hitting the #1 spot here again tonight, a couple times this season, I believe. And then after that, we got in second place Chester Guidry. In third, Casey Knight. In fourth, we have Ilya Speaker. In fifth, Jeff Jacobs. In sixth, Joe Nagy. In seventh, Aaron Sunday. And in eighth, Jake Mackey. And I think that's going to be our last driver tonight. So bit of a light field, but we got some heavy hitters out there.
We certainly do. You know, it's going to be a very top-heavy kind of race. Would not be surprised if there is no runaway victor in tonight's field. Just 4 rows of drivers here. The AM class is certainly the most decorated if we're talking about participation tonight. Half the field are all AM class runners. I'll tell you one thing. Congrats, Jake Mackey.
Yeah,
he's
pretty
the
much at
class.
this stage. At this stage, I think he's pretty much got it wrapped up, pretty much dominated. Again, probably because there was a little bit of participation issues there, perhaps for some of them. But, you know, we were just talking a little bit before the show here just about the concept of the FROC series. And, you know, personally for me, just how beautiful these cars look in that old sort of throwback livery. Reminding us, of course, of the amazing series from back in the day when, you know, F1 drivers, Indy drivers, NASCAR drivers all get together in the same machinery and just kind of go a little bit buck wild in it. And it was really, really fun to watch. And, you know, sort of the heart of that happening here that we've been able to watch throughout this season, especially kind of in the earlier races there, was pretty darn cool. The machinery just looking awesome out there.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. You know, these Ferrari 296 machines are they're a lot of fun to watch, right? They're a lot of fun to see how these drivers try and kind of duke it out. You know, any one make GT3 series, any one make sports car series in general, you have pretty much even machinery all over, especially in a fixed series like we've got right here in FROC. So it really does come down to driver ability and who's going to be the best over the course of each season's race. Obviously, each week we've got, or every 2 weeks, we've got 2 races in one night, 2 30-minute races back-to-back with an invert of the top 10. So what you're going to see here tonight is the order will be completely flipped around once we get to race number 2. But before we do that, Joshua, we've got race number 1, 30 minutes, and on pole position, Michelle Squirek will lead the way in a pursuit of Matt Dam, who is not in tonight's events. Squirek with, I would say, 2 second places should be enough to overtake. We'll have to get back to you on that after the show. But The safety car is in around the final corner. Slowly, these Ferrari machines will make their way onto this front stretch at a turn 14. Barney the flag man holds that green flag, is ready to wave it for 30 minutes of Ferrari FROC action. It's the final 2 races of the season, and we're underway as they cross the bricks and head into turn 1. Squirick way down on the inside, has a lot of competition already on the outside though, but deep into the first corner. I mean, just an unbelievable display of braking power, and off to the run she goes.
Yeah, that was definitely really deep. So hard to do when you're leading sometimes with that pressure from behind to get that braking zone correct and get that pressure right. And we were talking to some of the drivers beforehand here that the brakes can be a little bit difficult in this car. I think I've never really been able to master the brakes in this thing, and it sounds like there's a lot of other drivers that are struggling too. But Michelle Squirick seems to have its number at the moment here, already breaking away on the first lap. Chester Guidry behind her, pretty much the only competition in the last little while. So we'll see what happens tonight. And that reverse grid, of course, is going to throw up a bit of a wrench later on.
Yeah, we will have to see how this race unfolds, but it was a brilliant start for the driver in that 75 machine, trying to claw back that deficit that it currently stands between her and Mike Dam. It's certainly possible as we exit the final 2 corners of lap number 1. Times per lap are in the minute and a half category, somewhere around there. So, I mean, we're definitely going to be looking at give or take a 13, 14 lap race here. So every lap, every corner matters as Ilya Speaker starts looking down the inside, not close enough to make a lunge going into that first corner on Casey Knight. Knight we were just talking to before the safety car started that pace lap just before the drop of the green flag, and didn't know what to expect in tonight's race, but so far, I'd say he's fairly happy with it.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure. It's, this place, like we were saying before, it might not be kind of the most exciting track in the world. I think that's probably why people don't like it. I've heard a lot of different, and it is very flat, and I think that, a lot of the times, really flat, not undulating tracks tend to be, that they have to really be designed well to be interesting and have some character, like, I don't know, Sebring or something like that. It's a pretty flat track, but you can't say that place doesn't have character. This place just never really been able to grab me. I've never found it super difficult necessarily, but also maybe not really lighting the fire for me to really get behind the wheel and push it either. So that can play a role out there as well when you're just not quite as motivated for the track. And it sounds like a couple people were kind of in that same boat here tonight, but we're starting to kind of space out a little bit now, a little bit standard fare so far.
Yeah, and you've brought up an interesting point there. If you kind of lose a little bit of, I don't know if I'd say it's motivation, right? Because you're always motivated to try and beat everybody else. It doesn't matter if you don't enjoy the track, right? You're either going to win or you're going to be one of the multitudes of drivers who don't win, right? So one driver is going to try and will find enough motivation, if you want to put it that way, to win the race. At the end of the day, the flow of the track, it doesn't necessarily matter if you want to have a good race, right? A good bit of points taken. You got to deal with it. Doesn't matter how it happens. And I'll tell you what, an interesting bit of defense right here happening. Chester Guidry is doing a phenomenal job of, pulling off my favorite term in motorsports, a trolley train, if you will. But we need to think of a different name that works for Chester.
Yeah, the Chester train, that doesn't work too bad actually.
No.
That sounds all right actually. A train named Chester, it just seems to kind of fit. But yeah, he has definitely got some pretty wide shoulders there, I think, for sure. We got Casey Knight having a look there. Go ahead.
No, I was just trying to think, that definitely sounds like something. Chester, Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sure Chester was a character in that show. I'll have to try and ask
Sounds
my
like he could be,
3-year-old
yep.
self.
That's been a little while since I've watched Thomas the Tank Engine, but I think that probably fits the color of the car maybe too, but he's definitely throwing up a really good defense there from Casey Knight, who we've seen kind of peek out a few times now. It hasn't really taken a stab at it. I did notice on the brakes a couple times now. Looks like very strong on the brakes. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Sometimes that's not going to be it. You got to get that the midfield done in those in the mid section of corners as well. But seemingly having the brakes pretty dialed on that after telling us maybe she wasn't so good at it.
Yeah, sometimes you talk yourself up, or you talk yourself out of necessarily being able to.
My tires are terrible, and then sets 3 the fastest laps of the race. He's
exactly.
done it all.
Oh no, my tires
all the time. Yeah, exactly. Just classic.
now it's just, are you hearing what I'm saying? Okay, don't talk to me. Okay,
stop talking.
Yeah.
I don't want that strategy. Yeah, unfortunately, those the red cars, the Ferraris got so much love for the Ferrari, so much love for the red, but they just can't seem to get out of their own way sometimes. But maybe we'll switch subjects there. We could get in trouble. You don't want to anger the Ferrari crowd.
No, you do not. You do not want to anger the Tifosi, because the next thing you know, you're going to be getting a letter from Marinello directed to Slow Motion Broadcasting saying,
that'd be scary.
What you say? What you say, mate?
Yeah, not good. We don't want one of those. We love the Ferraris down here at Slow Motion Broadcasting.
This is very true. As off topic, a very small bit, the agency I work for, we work with a major sponsor of Ferrari, so we get to do some cool things when it comes to the Ferrari world, and do not want them angry at us, but still must be the water. Best radio message we've gotten. It's got to be something. Got to be something. Jeff Jacobs a little bit wide right there, and of that long back straight. Obviously, this part of the circuit, as Jacobs again is really under attack from Joe Nagy, is turn 7 left-hander coming out of the backstretch, all the way up until turn 12 right here. This is turn 12 at 90-degree right-hander. It's just not really something you can get too much of a flow at, right? There's a lot of start and stop. A lot of times you start to get the wheels spinning a little bit out of one corner, but then you've got to set up for the next set of corners. I would say one of the most fun sections of this track has to be the turn 3 to 6 complex, which we're going through turn 1 right now, heavy braking zone, 90-degree right angle. But once you get into turn 2, you can kind of ride the curbs a little bit right there, and now it's a lot of trying to make sure those left side tires don't scream for mercy too much, but that absolutely happened right in front, and oh no, it's Casey Knight.
That was a pretty good call on that one, right as we're talking about sort of the adhesion levels that you are needed through that section of the course there. We saw Casey Knight losing adhesion through that section, and you're absolutely right. There's sort of a piff-paff kind of feeling through there that's really cool, and you can kind of catch that curb, and it just feels like you're a bit of a hero going through there when you get it right. And then something like this corner with a big bulbous curb sticking out that you just sort of have to manage doesn't feel quite so flowy and nice. But Casey Knight absolutely spinning out there. We'll have to go back and have a look here. I'll let you have a look at it, see what happened.
Yeah, we'll see exactly. It's going to be a solo incident for Casey Knight, and that's kind of exactly what we were just talking about there on air, right? Those try and get outside as much as possible, use as much of the curb. You already see the car's a bit unsettled. And I think he was already going around before he got those left sides on the curbs. Just too much heat in those tires, and it's really not that hot of a racetrack right now. 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So those tires, while they're going to last a little bit longer, there might not be as much grip as you'd like. I don't know what the optimum temperature would be with these Ferraris at IMS given the racing surface, but so far just one incident, and that was Casey Knight trying to push it just a little bit too much. All right, let's go through the order real quick, because for the most part it's a runaway up front. Michelle Squirick 3.2 seconds out in the lead over 9 minutes into this race, almost to 7 full laps down. But Chester Guidry, is in P2 with Ilya Speaker in 3rd position right now. And I'll tell you what, podium looks, they all look fairly comfortable right now because Joe Nagy is also not really that close to a podium spot. That same gap between fourth and third, that's what we're seeing from second and first.
Yeah, definitely starting to kind of gap out a little bit on each other here for sure, and that's going to come down to just sort of the lap times that they've probably put in the practice this week and so on, or just how comfortable out the car track combo. And we're starting to see that kind of reflected now. You can only stay in the draft for so long if you're struggling with that front end or struggling with braking, and it looks like we are having a little bit of that out there, or even just a little mistake, and then you're kind of out of that draft and a little bit hard to catch up. You want to kind of be with that pack of drivers, but we'll keep an eye on things here. Aaron Sunday in the back there looking like, or actually what place is he in now? Just looking around here on all of the screens that I have in front of me, about 6th place now, so looks like he's actually starting to catch up to Jeff Jacobs, so that's probably going to be our next closest fight in the next little bit, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and we were, I'm seeing right now in the YouTube comments on Slow Motion Broadcasting, hey, if you want to, give us a like and subscribe. We're always live multiple days throughout the week. You know a lot more about the inner workings of our live schedule.
Almost every day now, yep.
Yeah.
Almost every day. So Wednesdays, we actually have 3 shows on tonight. So this is the first of the 3 that started. We have an SRG F3 show as well as RESCR Group 2 Mustangs tonight. So that's the Ray Esports Club Racing League. They're also on right now. And then the weekend we have the FV Weekend Warriors coming up. We'll have a bunch of other Weekend Warrior announcements to make shortly, I'm sure, as well. And we're actually adding some more leagues and stuff too. We're going to have some oval racing pretty soon. Hopefully we got a league coming in shortly. Really cool owner and stuff like that. We'll get a good announcement about that soon. But all kinds of things happening here at SMB.
Very exciting stuff. And if you want to get involved, you can always give us a little bit of a chat in that YouTube stream. And we've got some Aaron Sunday fans. So it's a good thing Sunday is right now on the prowl. Casey Knight, by the way, just made a move past Jake Mackey. Mackey is currently down in P8. So that's going to be, let's take a look at this move right here. Knight going into turn 1. Way wide was Jake Mackey. It's given Knight the ability to go on the outside of turn number 2, inside turn 3 and turn 4, and way wide going through that turn 3 section was Jake Mackey right there. All good. Nothing broken there. But Aaron Sunday, he is really chasing that 5th place machine of Jeff Jacobs. Did lose a couple of tenths, though, in the past few laps.
Yeah, it looks like they're Sector 2 gaining just a little bit and then kind of losing in a few other sectors there as well. So, this flip of the grid in the next race is going to really throw up some wrenches for the drivers in the front there for sure. It's always difficult in those scenarios to kind of know, somebody's going to be braking sometimes much differently than you into corners if you're a couple seconds faster or even a second slower or faster than the other driver. And that's tough to think about out there when you're one of the faster guys or one of the slower guys. You don't want to get rear-ended either. You might go a little deep. Very easy to go deep into T1 like we were saying earlier in the broadcast there as we saw Michelle Squarick taking it just professionally there into T1. Honestly, she did a great job there keeping everybody off of her into T1.
Yeah, 100%. So, this does almost act for some drivers as a bit of a practice session, if you will, for race number 2, right? Sometimes you get in
good way to put it.
A little bit late going into a league session, and you don't really get the laps that you really need to get acclimated. It kind of does benefit, right, the preparers of this world when it comes to your race 1 results. Race 2, it does tend to get a little bit chaotic, especially in the opening laps, just because of that inverse.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen them go really, really well and be an awesome thing to watch, and everybody's super respectful of each other, and it's good. And I've seen other ones that just didn't go well, and it's kind of like that. It sort of looks like drivers maybe a little bit off pace, tripping over each other. I don't think we're going to have that problem. As you can see up at the times here today, we're actually fairly tight in the times through the field there. And you're right. One of the cooler things to watch during these races actually is that you're almost always going to pick up a little bit of time. Maybe a couple drivers out there just didn't have the time this week to get the laps in, but they're getting 30 minutes of it right now. And by the next race, they'll be a little bit more pointy and maybe be up at the tip of the spear there a little bit quicker or for longer even, and just hold some stuff off. And then you never know what can happen from there.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, right? We talk about the preparation of some drivers really does show in race number 1, where they start to shine in race number 2. It really doesn't matter, though, because the championship format is unforgiving in the sense that race 2 is not worth any more or any less than race number 1. Your results really do matter in each race equally, and that does end up showing in the championship standings. Earlier in the season, we had a lot of participants, especially at some of the oval races. We went to Sebring. I think that was race number 1. Barber had a little bit of an appearance here. But goodness me, if you ever want to see Ferraris at IRP or Michigan, this is the series to watch it in.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. IRP doesn't get a whole lot of use as far as I know. We actually did a rally cross at IRP, which I think gets almost zero use, and it was actually okay. It worked out. It's a bit of a fiddly track. But you brought up a good point there about practicing and stuff. I do a couple series myself, and I can definitely attest to that. If I get in the rig, usually my schedule, if I'm going to do well, would be I touch the wheel a little bit on Monday and start learning the track and learn it a little bit, and then maybe on Thursday or Wednesday you get back in for another hour or two and kind of put it back in, eye things in a little bit, watch a little bit of videos on how the track works, and then again maybe on Saturday just before the race on Sunday. And if I can do that, I'm going to be a lot faster and more competent in the race, I think would be the right word, and ready for it. I know the track is just kind of behind me. Now it's about my competitors. And if you can do that, you can be a lot faster out there for sure, at least in my opinion. Some people have the ability, just natural ability, to jump in a car and just go.
Yes.
But I think everybody has to, put in at the very tip of the spear when you're racing the fastest guys. That's what they're doing. They're practicing, and the guy who gets in there and does the most seems to be able to just kind of be more competent out there.
Yeah, you're 100% right there, and it is the rat race, right? We always talk about natural ability when it comes to getting behind the wheel of a car. It doesn't really matter when, if you are a great preparer, if you're great with a lot of practice, once you get punched in the face, because then it really does come down. It just comes down to natural ability and how well you've prepared to deal with things that you cannot see coming ahead. So it's kind of a catch-22 where the best drivers are going to be the ones that are well prepared. But if you're only preparing in very basic ways, right? If you're just preparing for, say, qualifying pace and not racecraft or race pace, you're not going to be ready to go against some of the natural talents who also put in that work to get fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a whole package at the end of the day out there. It's not just one thing. You bring a good point up there. I think that was a Mike Tyson quote about everybody's got a really good idea how a fight's going to go until they get a shot in the nose. And your eyes are watering and you don't know what's going, you can't see very well. And that's sort of what happens out there sometimes. You think everything's going to be great and you're really fast. Honestly, I've had some of my worst results at tracks that I'm the best at, and some of my best results at the tracks I expected absolutely nothing at. And maybe that's just the level I'm at now. But you have to realize those things as a driver too. How fast I am and what can I expect from this. And that thing comes, those kind of things come with practice and they come with time. That's something that you have to spend a lot of time learning and everything else. So I'm sure that's what some of our drivers out here are thinking and are doing. We know Michelle Squires being a real life racer knows all about stuff like that and that thought process, along with some other sim racers too, which can really add a kind of a cool dichotomy there, where you do have two very similar minds, maybe from different worlds, kind of competing, doing the same thing, because it can be just as serious at home if you want it to be, or almost as serious, let's say.
100%. As we continue to watch Michelle Squire do some work there, but this has not been as runaway as we may have expected 10 minutes ago, because Chester Guidry he's right there. And Ilya Speaker is also keeping Chester pretty honest with himself too. So this top three, it's compressed just a little bit over the last couple of minutes. Obviously, we still have 10 minutes to go. Anything can happen, but I wouldn't say that this top three is locked in yet.
Yeah, no, it's one mistake away for sure. So, you're looking at those lap times. They've kind of been bing-bonging back and forth a little bit. One's a little faster, and then the other is a little faster.
Say bing-bong.
Yeah, I did say bing-bong. I'm
Bing-bong.
not sure. I'm not sure. Making things up here, while we're in Heat 1 every once in a while. I don't get on the mic as often as I probably should, so I'm a little rusty sometimes. I kind of try to come up with things on the fly, but we're looking like, I think you're absolutely right here. They haven't totally run away with it. There's a bit of, they're kind of accordioning each other, if I want to make up another word, back and forth a little bit here. Not totally losing touch with each other, but not really catching each other either, which can be frustrating, honestly. But as we were saying, this is probably when you're going to learn that speed for the next race, or maybe even the weakness of the competitor in front of you, and keep them close enough so you can see it.
We don't really talk about iRating in any of these broadcasts, but it does. iRating, for people who are not too aware, when it comes to official series, right? Your racecraft, to how well you finish compared to the average iRating of your race, of your server. It either will raise or it will lower your overall iRating. If you've got an iRating of 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 and above, you're better than most, right? I feel like if you look at a bell curve, 2,000 is probably where you start to see the higher 50%, but it gets the higher you go from there, the fewer drivers that are in the 3,000 and above, 4,000 and above, and then you really get to the top 1, 2, 3% of drivers, 5,000 and above. I bring that up to say we've got a driver who is over 6,000 iRating, and that is Michelle Squirick. Everybody else in the field, minus Jeff Jacobs and Casey Knight, is around 2,600 and below. So it really does go to show you that this is a series, this is a league where you can race with some of the best drivers on the service and continue to improve your craft in a way that doesn't necessarily impact your iRating, but it also teaches you how to drive fast, how to drive safe, and also how to race. It's different to drive, it's different to qualify, it's one thing to race.
Yeah, 100%. A whole bunch of good points there for sure. The rarefied air up there in the 6,000 iRating category, can be for a number of reasons, but we know it's it's because Michelle is very good at what she does for sure out here. And if you put your mind to it, and you stick to a series or two, and you kind of try to make it happen, it's still not easy to make it to 6,000. I'm not going to be honest with you. That is that's doing very, very well, but. Every once in a while you do see those, or a lot, in some of the leagues you were mentioning as well there. You're going to find the best kind of camaraderie and being able to learn from other drivers and stuff. I've never learned so much as I have chasing faster people who are willing to talk to you about stuff, and you're going to find that in the leagues. Not so much in the officials where you're getting yelled at sometimes and stuff. Most of the time, people on the mic, at least I don't even have mine lit on there anymore. I don't really listen to what's going on. I just want to concentrate on what I'm doing. But leagues are the best for that. So that's a really good point, I think, to bring up as well. Just the camaraderie and how you can learn, off of one another and stuff too. And in leagues like this is where you're going to find that.
100%. It is a really, really talented league, and when we do have double the participants, the races are very, very tight all throughout. The fact that we've got 8 drivers here tonight and the gaps are still as honestly low as they are is quite impressive. And we're looking at, or we just were looking at one of the gaps right there between 4th and 5th right now, back to Michelle Squirick. And I'll tell you this. That gap between Squirick and Chester Guidry has come down, or has been extended by a long margin. The gap between 2nd and 3rd, between Guidry and Ilya Speaker, it's only just over a second. So this
right there,
this race, this is far from over with now 6 minutes remaining in it. Here's my question: are we going to get 4 laps? Or are we going to get 5 laps? It looks like we're going to get 5 laps.
Hard to say, but yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, I love the paint job on this one too. Very, very cool color on Ilya Speaker's car here, and definitely, I don't think. I would imagine at this time in the race, you're nearing the end. You've kind of figured out how fast you can go, and it looks like it looks like the driver's got the speed here for sure for the next race, but maybe just not willing to hang it all out at this point. We'll see, because it actually does look like he's kind of going for it at this moment, but definitely found some speed out there, I think. So for the next race, I would imagine at least between these two drivers here, we're going to have a pretty good one, as well as some of the other ones there. Just finding that speed out there, finding the limits of the track, and hopefully finding some more speed for the next race. We're going to be a little bit tighter. I'm sure it is going to be.
This race is honestly, I don't think it's anywhere near complete, and we do love to see that. Jeff Jacobs still hot on the tails of Joe Nagy right here. These two, Jeff Jacobs, I will say, obviously a long history when it comes to racing in these leagues, being a part of motorsports organizations. I believe Braun has worked a lot with him in SCCA events, and that's always cool. I've never been involved in SCCA events, but that would always be fun one day.
Yeah, that's something. Well, I live out here in Canada, so we do have some stuff like that out here as well, but definitely not quite as abundant as in the U.S. or in the UK. A lot more motor racing and stuff going on there. But yeah, Jeff Jacobs very involved in the SCCA as well as in the sim racing space here, adminning a bunch of different stuff, making sure there's all kinds of stuff on track and getting drivers out racing and practicing and having fun with each other and stuff. So pretty cool stuff there. We definitely want to thank them and the SCCA Foundation as well as XMS for putting this stuff on. Hopefully we can have another season here and get some more driver participation in the FROC series, because it is a really cool concept, and the cars look really cool, and it would be awesome to have some more drivers out there. I'm not too sure we're going to end up staying with the Ferrari. We had a little bit of gnashing and wailing and grinding of teeth there about it.
What have you heard?
Well, I'm actually just kind of, I don't want to start any rumors. I don't think anybody's officially said anything, but it does sound like the drivers are a little bit unhappy with the car here and there, but that can change over time as well. iRacing's probably going to do a bit of work on it in the next little while, as well as just kind of getting acclimated with it too. So we'll see how that works out, but I really hope that we do come back for another series is the point of that one. I hope I haven't started a rumor now about cars. Oh boy.
I've got an idea. I've got an idea. Just throw them in MX-5s and call it a day.
Call it a day.
have race number 1
MROC.
in MX-5s.
MROC, yeah, maybe the MX-5s. I mean, some of the better racing I've seen has definitely been in those cars. There's a way to drive them, and it's hard, and that's it makes them pretty fun. So yeah, who knows? I'd like to see maybe a Porsche Cup, but we'll leave that to the organizers of FROC here. And it would be kind of sad to see this beautiful Ferrari go, to be honest. She's a pretty car.
Indeed, she is. But as always, in a lot of iRacing series, it comes down to the drivers and the administrators on car selection. There's no TV contracts except for, hey, us, that they talk to, and the fans watching at home. Maybe not as big to take us to court or anything like that. I don't think we need to. I don't think we need that.
I think we're probably okay. Haven't quite crossed that line yet. Hopefully we won't here. We try to keep her pretty middle ground around here for the most part. Well, maybe that's not true. You hear some of some of the XSLR shows or a couple of Ron's shows there. You can kind of go to Mars a few times. It's been pretty fun around here.
We try to have a lot of fun, and I'll tell you what, this is shaping up to be a really fun end to the race for position number 4, because Jeff Jacobs is right there, has chased Joe Nagy down, and they've got about a lap and a half to go, I'd say, before everything is all said and done in this battle. We're at the time where Jeff Jacobs really needs to start picking and hitting his marks and choose where he wants to try and make a move done, because it's quite difficult here if you don't have something lined up. Because right here, yeah, you can really try and make it or happen around the outside one of the corners, try to get that inside track up ahead. But if you don't, all of a sudden, look at this, you don't have the traction to get out of the inside, the infield, back onto that short chute, into the final 2 or 3 corners of the infield circuit. We're about to see them take, I think, their final lap here. So it's now or never. The best opportunity is going to be coming up into turn 1. Jeff Jacobs' last lap pushed quite understeery going up into that straightaway. But Michelle Squire, what a race for her, honestly, tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I believe didn't catch the flag man there. It's always, we used to get an indication on the overlay here when it was last lap, made things really easy. It's decided not to do that anymore. I'm not exactly sure why. I didn't see the flag there, but I think we're pretty darn close. I think we're going to get one more in here for sure. But yeah, it does look like, it's a pretty good point to raise there. The middle of the track, he's able to catch up and really good on the brakes, but it honestly looked like that last corner where it matters to get out onto that drag strip and try to catch and make the pass, maybe, a bit of a high percentage maneuver there instead of trying to do it maybe right here.
Look how deep! Oh, man!
Oh, goodness. You can see how late Jeff Jacobs can go on those brakes, and he just gave him a little love tap there. We'll call that just a little love tap for now. No harm done, but wow, that was a little late on the brakes and deep, and almost got it. If he would have janked to the right there, might have been able to shoot right through there.
Yeah, maybe, but I think Jacobs handed him the place back. That was probably the right move overall. But I do think that Michelle Squirick is about to cross the line and take that checkered flag. Indeed, she is winner of race number 1 after 22 laps of action. Chester Guidry is going to finish on the 2nd spot of the podium, while Ilya Speaker will finish in 3rd. Holding on to 4th, Joe Nagy just barely held on for a number of laps as Jeff Jacobs was chasing. And Casey Knight, it could have been a little bit better of a night for Casey, who went all the way in the back. Looking ahead, I would say Knight had the speed for a 4th place finish, just obviously at least one mistake ended the chances for himself. Jake Mackey will finish in 7th. Aaron Sunday had a couple of issues in the latter half of the race. We didn't get to really focus on him in that latter half, but he will round out the field in 8th. And guess what? He's going to start race number 2 in P1.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, and I think we have some kind of mid-pack drivers as well who have found some speed. So I think this one's going to be a little bit more racy. You'll probably get a little break out of them here. I believe we have about a 5-minute break here, I think. Yeah, to get a little break, take a little bit of a hospitality break there, get a sandwich, hit the bathroom, and come back and hopefully be able to put on a little bit more lap time, or take a little bit more lap time off and see if they can't get a little bit more pointy with each other out there. I have a feeling that's exactly what's going to happen here, but pretty good results on that one. We can go over the results here of Heat 1 if I can get them to pull up. These heat races can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but yep, Michelle Squirick's going to take that one 1st place. Chester Guidry is in 2nd. Ilya Speaker in 3rd. Joe Nagy 4th. Jeff Jacobs is 5th. Casey Knight in 6th. Jake Mackey in 7th. And Aaron Sunday rounding out the field in 8th. I would keep an eye on that midfield this time for sure. The likes of Casey Knight, the likes of Ilya Speaker in there, Jeff Jacobs. We're going to get some fighting in there, I think. And of course, Michelle Squire trying to make it up through the field is never easy, but she's made it look easy a couple times, hasn't she?
Indeed she has. I don't think we've got live standings here, but I feel like for Michelle Squirick, it's almost written in stone that she will have a championship in the pro category. Is that something we could get, or are we just going to be guessing?
No, I don't think we can get it live, unfortunately. That is something, we'd probably be able to work on, but no, unfortunately, I believe the admin that's actually doing the points is in the race. So it's going to be hard to do it. We may be able to get them kind of updated at the end. He will send me a message, so keep note on that one there, and I'll have a look for it. We might be able to get you an update.
Yeah, beautiful there. Just around 2 minutes and a little bit of change to go before these cars get gridded up for the pace lap. Want to appreciate everybody watching right now on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And Joshua, I've got some big news for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We had a donation. Donation. There
amazing. Oh, look at that,
yes. And I'm not going to tell you, this is not a command, but Brad, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing. Thank you for the donation. For sure, we love the viewers out there watching our shows, and we got all kinds of stuff coming up in the next little bit. So yeah, thank you very, very much for that, Brad, and we'll make sure we call that out And yeah, hopefully we will have a season 2 for you of FROC here coming up in the not too distant future as well. We'll be able to come and tell you that shortly as well. But we'll see how it goes. And thanks for the donation, man. Awesome. And he looks like he's saying, "Go Team OHND, go Aaron." So that's another Aaron Sunday fan, and he's going to be starting this race. So this should be a pretty interesting one if you're an Aaron Sunday fan, I think.
I don't think we've got Aaron Sunday in a Discord chat, so we're unable to talk to Aaron. But, I mean, listen, it seems like everybody watching knows Aaron, so all I'm saying is shoot him a text, tell him to get onto a Discord channel in the Slow Motion Broadcasting server.
Yeah,
we'll try and talk to him at some point. But I do think we've got at least one person who we could talk to real quick while we wait for the countdown to go on, and that is Michelle Squirick. Why don't we ask Michelle a couple of questions?
Yeah,
here? I know we'll have to. Awesome. All right, Michelle, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, a heck of a first race for you. I kind of thought you would start to run away even more so than you did, but it was an easy race, all things considered.
Yeah, it's more just kind of managing the gap. These cars can be really tricky to drive, so just tried to keep it cool. Hopefully, just keep a little bit of pace on the cars behind for the inevitable times where the ABS doesn't quite cooperate with me. But yeah, managed to make it come together.
Okay, so interesting that you say that about some of the ABS and just trying to manage the brakes going into some of these heavier corners, because there's a lot of 90-degree slower corners that do follow some longer and quicker straights. We're going to see you starting in the back of the field, 8th place, maneuvering your way up. Is this something that you're going to take very easy going into turn 1 and try and pick off positions throughout the opening laps?
I mean, my strategy here has been grab as many positions as I can into turn 1 all season long, and so far it's pretty much been the way to go. So, that's going to be my approach going forward. Why change it up?
I like it. Oh, that's exciting. Well, we are ready to watch the show. I know the race, everybody is starting to get gridded up here. So, Michelle, best of luck in this race number 2.
Thank you. And thank you for broadcasting.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good luck out there. Thank you.
Always fun to talk to Michelle. We end up talking to her a lot throughout the course of this season. She just wins a lot. And oh my goodness, Rachel Sunday, a $5 donation.
Look at that. Yep,
Look at
Rachel
that.
Sunday. He's got quite the fan zone here for sure. So Rachel Sunday, thank you for that. Let's go Sunday. He is in the lead right now. Aaron Sunday leading in P1. Jake Mackey's going to be P2. P3 is going to be Casey Knight. In P4 we have Jeff Jacobs in position number 5. Joe Nagy from Canada. Guy, look at that. Amongst all the U.S. there, we got one Canadian in there. See if you can't pull it out today. Ilya Speaker in 6th place. In 7th, we have Chester Guthrie, and in 8th place, Michelle Squirick at the back. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this one is going to play out.
Yeah, I am quite excited to see this, and I know that everybody is quite excited to see how Aaron's going to be doing going down into turn 1. We'll have the inside line, and it was a really good jump for Michelle Squirick in race number 1, starting from that inside lane. We'll see what Aaron's going to be able to do. Is already trying to warm up those tires right now, but I feel like those tires are going to be cooled down by the time we get all the way around this circuit in the infield of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know what I've just noticed about the this track in iRacing?
What's that?
The spectators for the infield circuit are still all the way around the stands, which might be a pretty bad view. If you were in the oval, turn number 3, you can't see.
Yeah, not seeing much from there. I noticed, the infield, they're standing really far back from the fence, too. They're looking a little stiff as well, I might add. But, yeah, I wonder if they'll ever change that in here. You can zoom in there, and it's actually kind of comical to use it in video clips and stuff here and there. You can kind of, a fan who's just locked in a position with some music playing in the background can actually be kind of funny. But I wonder if they're ever going to fix that. The car's all parked in there, and then there's people just kind of just standing there up against the fence looking at, I don't know, a fence.
I mean, yeah, you know, there's it's funny because the oval, or I should say that backstretch down in the infield that they're on right now, it is actually used as a road when the race is on the oval on the outside. So it's kind of funny. All the roads, all the infield tracks the infield track actually has street names that go outside the track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Yeah, it's weird.
Very cool.
It is very weird, very strange. I kind of like it. But yeah, if you ever get the chance to go in the infield at Indianapolis, recognize that. Oh.
Never been there, you know. You're saying on the run up, this is one of the places, you know, that you gotta go see the Indianapolis 500 someday. You just have to do it, and I've never had the chance, but you know, one of these days I'm going to make it out there and do it for sure. And yeah, I've heard this facility is just awesome, and there's a lot of fun to be had on many different levels out there. But we're looking now here at the warm-up Sunday there in the front. Mackey right beside him. Knight already looking to get that pass down by the looks of it. This is going to be a pretty interesting one here, and exactly how they're going to be able to sort this out going into the green flag here.
I just hope there's not catastrophe for any of our drivers in the field for race number 2. Aaron Sunday quite slow, bringing everybody to the yard of bricks. The line is already passed. We're underway here, and a great jump for Sunday, but Casey Knight pulls out to the outside. Sunday is going to have to be defensive. 3 wide heading into this 90-degree right-hander, and Sunday breaks away with the lead of this race.
Yeah, that was a great line he took there. Good on the brakes as well. He's going to be able to hold that position. Jeff Jacobs going to have a spin in the background there, unfortunately. Sunday holding it pretty good here into T1. That was some good braking there. Got to be one of the harder corners on the entire course, and to get it on the first lap with cold tires going a little wide there with a couple other drivers as well. But yeah, we're looking like we're going to get a bit racy here right off the bat, I think.
Big run from Casey Knight down the inside, late on the brakes, right on the apex, some contact, or I should say on the outside. That was Sunday defending. Got a little bit mixed up there, but now they are 2 wide as we go into this 90-degree right-hander. All of them feel like 90-degree right-handers, and what a move right there. Those 2 drivers just fighting, and Casey Knight getting it done up into P number 1. Sunday down in the second, and guess who's in third already?
Yeah, Michelle Squirick making that charge through the field. We did see a little bit of off-track excursions there. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. We'll have to go back and have a look. You know, sometimes when you're moving through the field that quick, it's really easy to, you know, kind of get a little bargy and get someone off the road. Not sure if that's what happened. Don't want to say that it did quite yet, as we see Nagy having a little peek there as well. But, you know, finally there, Knight was able to get around Aaron Sunday, who's holding on to P2 here. If he can keep it smooth and keep it clean, hope these people keep fighting behind him here. He might be able to hold on to this position. As we see, I believe this is Guidry and Squire side by side.
So remember, these two were, they weren't really racing each other side by side in race 1, but these two were in the positions right next to each other throughout the course of this race. You can't go too wide there.
No, you can't do that there.
And it just opened up the door for Joe Nagy on the outside going into this corner. This is an unbelievable, this is MX-5 racing right here.
Almost, yeah. We got MX-5 levels of aggression going on here into some of these corners, and that's how you have to get it done. If you're Michelle Squirick in the 75 there, you've got to get this done. You got to get out front, and you got to catch those drivers. Not a whole lot of time to do it, and they're just getting away right now. He's losing time here with this side-by-side racing as we're looking on board with Ilya Speaker forward here. Gonna try to get it up the inside. Looks like gonna get it done, but then the undercut, so unbelievable. Yeah, that always happens there, doesn't it?
It truly does. My word, some argy-bargy elbows out, whatever you like to call it. This is quite aggressive, and Michelle Squirick, oh my gosh, I mean, practically bump drafting down this straightaway. A lot of weaving going on in front. Just absolutely insane as Ilya Speaker defends on the inside. Michelle Squirick tries to get the switch back. Jake Mackey is right in the picture as well. Everybody from 7th on up. I mean, remember, Jeff Jacobs had that spin on lap 1, turn 1, or I should say turn 2. Here, I mean, Squirick right up to the gearbox. Nothing going on there.
Yeah, it does look like the brakes. You're seeing that happen quite a bit in this car from driver to driver. Just a little bit of maybe, I want to call it apprehension or something on the brakes, whether they should be fully on them or when to release them and how. A little bit of kind of bobbling here and there I'm seeing even from some of the better drivers. So I might have to take this car out and just have a couple rips in it. I've only done it a couple times and didn't really get acclimated to it at all, but it does look difficult on the brakes out there for sure, and it's causing a little bit of trouble as we still see up front here Casey Knight not totally running away with it yet from Aaron Sunday, that's for sure. And there's a pretty good gap from Aaron Sunday to Jeff Jacobs behind, or sorry, that's not going to be Jeff Jacobs behind them, sorry, to Chester Guthrie behind him. So, just keep that pace going, keep those consistent laps clicking off here, and looks like he's set up for a very good result here in Heat 2, or in the feature, sorry.
Yeah, 100%. It certainly appears this way, and Sunday, the speed is there, right? Casey Knight with the fastest lap of this race so far. I'd say the biggest thing for these drivers is trying to keep Michelle Squirick back, because we've seen the speed, but also Chester Guidry also has that speed that we've been talking about here. Michelle Squirick just really got into third, and then all of a sudden there was some aggression either from her or the drivers behind, and now she's back into 6th place. Just not something we're used to seeing from her. So, hey, all those moves were made on lap number 1, but quickly went away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy to start a race from behind like that. All the speed in the world, if a bunch of cars in front of you or somebody wants to not let you by. That's just the way it's going to be, for sure. Not necessarily the easiest track to pass on. I mean, there's definitely areas here, to be able to get a draft and get it done into T1, for instance. But, the midfield side-by-side driving ends up being pretty slow, and it sort of just drives you backwards into other drivers, something you really have to keep in mind. So not exactly the charge we've seen her be able to pull off in other races and stuff, for sure. But that's again up to some of the drivers probably just finding some time last time out.
Yeah, 100%. Remember, race 1, it is a little bit of practice for some of these drivers in the field. It does help some of them in race number 2. So it can be a bit deceiving, the speed or lack thereof of some drivers. And then when we get into that second 30-minute event where everything kind of gets reset and inverted, that's when things get quite interesting. And Aaron Sunday right now is trying to hold off Chester Guidry, who is right on his back bumper going into this hard, heavy braking area. Probably, I would say definitely the second hardest braking zone or heaviest braking zone on this course. The third one, it's coming up right after these right-hand turns here.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you get into the straight or into the drafting areas, not really a whole lot you can do about it. So you want to make sure, you can either try to kind of stifle the driver behind you a little bit. Maybe you can take a line and get him to go offline, or you kind of just have to let it happen. And it looks like here, actually, it looks like Guidry maybe is going to get the run here. Not quite. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough, and that's going to be due. Again, it looked like Sunday sort of took a bit of a defensive line there, as maybe dazzle the driver behind you a little bit into a bad line, and boom, you just survived another straightaway.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Aaron Sunday way too deep going into turn number 1. Will have to go on the defense here into 2. Back into the grass on the right side in 3. And now is going to be 2 wide heading into turn 4. This is going to be hard to hold off. Guidry is unable to do so. And that defensive is strong for a number of laps. But he is right back on the tail of Guidry. That was a really solid fight back from Aaron Sunday, who's going to go on the outside, wiggling into the braking zone. And does he get the move done? Way too late on the brakes. Doesn't get back to the outside. And that is fight over for now.
Yeah, that was a pretty good little battle there for sure. Big curb strike there for Chester, and I was almost gave that one back to Aaron Sunday after that little incident there. And now, of course, Sunday is going to have Joe Nagy right beside him. We're just going to come back to action, and Speaker getting into the back of Nagy there. We'll see if we can't get a better look at that. I'm not sure that's going to come up on our report, but we're side by side again here. It's getting rough in the midfield.
Oh, did you see that? There was some contact, I think, between Squirick and Ilya Speaker there. I don't know how intense that was, but very quickly they both dropped off the face of the earth. And now Aaron Sunday has to deal with Ilya Speaker, or Joe Nagy, I should say. Squirick, my gosh, this is a barn burner.
It
just
is
a dang gong show right now, to borrow some hockey terminology.
Yeah, that's some good hockey terminology. She even sounded a bit Canadian when you said that. That was pretty good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Behind us here, just not able to get by Aaron Sunday here today at all. He's really throwing his shoulders up in third place here. And, again, the infighting sort of behind him is also allowing that. As you can see, lots of intimidation moves and side by side, and even a little bit of contact, I think, as you were saying there as well. So the shoulders are out, and that's when you need to really look through that front windshield, start focusing down, stop worrying about behind you, and just click the laps off that that you can do. And that's all you can do out there. And then when they get behind you again, do exactly what he did there. He kind of threw a bit of a dummy up wide, and I mean, look what happened. He survived the one straightaway, and now he's 2 laps down. Squark looks like she is in the hunt now. If I was Aaron Sunday, I'd probably just let her by and try to grab onto the back and keep going.
It's really nice that we don't have to worry about small field sizes in this series, because it doesn't matter how small the field is, we're still going to get some intense racing. We're going to still find some excitement here. And Aaron Sunday, I mean, this is an incredible job of still holding on to a podium spot right now. I mean, listen, the odds of Sunday being able to hold on to it, as there's some contact there. Ilya Specker, a little bit too late into the braking zone, got the left side into the wall, and almost, that was strange. Was that damage that kept Speaker from being able to do any aggression? I'm not so sure. But as I was saying, the odds of Sunday being able to defend this strongly for the next 19 minutes and change is it's not quite high. Michelle Squirick has had a lot more pace, but I'll tell you what, if there's any one driver that I've gained a ton of respect for tonight, it is absolutely Aaron Sunday. What an not even immeasurable. What a measurable job of greatness on defense he is doing right here. Just taking that inside line, making it impossible to try and get around him. Squirick's going to have a really solid run, though, here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can only kind of do it for so long until the pressures just has to release somewhere, and it's either going to be in the form of a bump up the rear end from frustration, or some contact and maybe some, a spin or something, or a pass eventually. And of course, we're just seeing that being released right now here. Speaker's going to try to squeeze by on the inside into T1. Always an interesting there's a fun section of the track, as we were saying before. Going to lose a bit of mid-corner traction there, but still fighting back on Jake Mackey anyway. So some really good defensive driving from Aaron Sunday out there for sure. That was extremely fun to watch. Not easy to do, and do let's say constructively and well, without making anybody too angry or making contact. And we saw that in spades there for sure. But finally that pressure has been released from some of those drivers. We'll see how much he can hold off. Jacobs getting in to the back of him there, but a little bit of contact out there. We saw a little argy-bargy, but it looks fairly friendly so far.
Yeah, and this is Aaron Sunday comes in here with the second lowest I rating of the 8-car field, and I'll tell you what, he is learning it in an incredible way here tonight, that defensive racecraft. And it's something that not every driver can do. If you can be frustrating to your competitors because you make that car as wide as possible,
it's huge. That's a huge
awesome
one.
I agreed.
It
Awesome
really
skill
is.
to have.
Yep. Yeah, again, that's the sort of the other side of the coin too. Being able to stay calm in those situations is a superpower as well. that you need to deploy, and I'm not always so good at deploying out there. It's very easy to build an inner monologue of the driver in front of you and what he's thinking and why he's doing the things that he's doing. And all that is just bandwidth going somewhere else. And it's difficult to do that when you're in the car, but obviously Aaron Sunday doing a really good job of that to be able to keep everybody behind him for so long and not make a mistake. And yeah, pretty cool stuff there for sure. But yeah, they got both ends of that sword as well there, I would say, in the thinking where, you know, one's trying to be aggressive and get by. You just have to try to not get too flustered and frustrated about it. And usually that's going to win out. Calm, assertive, as I believe, what is it, Cesar Millan would say. For the Cesar Millan reference there.
No, I'm impressed. I am very impressed with you right there. Are you a big Cesar Millan fan?
You know what? I watched a ton of it back in the day. I am a dog owner. I owned a hybrid wolf for 16 and a half years out here. She was an absolutely gorgeous animal. Passed away unfortunately last year, and now we have a wiener dog. So we went from wolf to wiener, and we're really enjoying it, honestly. Yeah. So I did. Long story short, love dogs, love animals, and yeah, Cesar Millan is a pretty great guy.
Awesome. I'm dogs are the best, right? I don't know. We could go on and talk about dogs and childhood dogs and dogs that I'd like to have and dog sitting, but you know what? I don't want to dog on the topic any longer.
Nicely done. Thank
you.
I could definitely go for a while about that for sure too, but
Me too.
We do have to get back to racing. You know, I'm noticing just now that panel doesn't look very straight anymore, and that's really, really not going to help Chester out there at all in second place. So Michelle Squarick hunting down. We know the speed that she has, but the number one car here dealing with a bit of a bent panel in the front there. So that's not going to help.
Yeah, that left front kind of wheel well, if you will, seems a little bit bent in. Is that the one you're seeing too?
Yeah, let me go back. Did it? That's very strange. Maybe that was just a glitch. No, it's bent in. So it's just bent in very forward, sort of just on top of the front left flick there. Got a good punch in, and that's not going to help.
Yeah, no, it's not going to help. I will say though, sometimes you can get a little bit of damage, and I put air quotes around damage because sometimes it helps. Look at that. The wheel is exposed. That's not going to help at all when it comes to the downforce of this car, as minimal relative to some really high downforce race cars that there is. So I've got a funny story. Up until late this summer, I worked in public relations for a NASCAR team for the better part of 3 seasons. So I worked for Coyle Racing. And back in 2023 in the Xfinity Series, I think this was Nashville, AJ Allmendinger in the 16 car, or I should say the 10 car, because he was not running full-time Xfinity at that point. He had a little bit of damage, I want to say, in the left rear that kind of flared out the car. I might be misremembering if it was the left or the right rear and if it was flared in or flared out. But it helped the car turn. That was the craziest thing. the damage that he acquired in the early goings of the race helped the car stay on track, and just it just went quicker around the corners. It gained some counts of downforce, and that's not something that you can actually do to the car. You can't flare out the side as much as that, or bend in, but because it happened on track with another car making contact, it was completely legal, and it definitely helped see Allmendinger go into victory lane that day.
Yeah, you know, I've actually seen it happen maybe one other time too before with I think it was an F1 car too, and then took a little bit of the left flick off on the on the left side of the wing. And I remember the call being something along the lines of, hey, you have some wing damage, but we're faster, so stay out. And then the next call was, I guess we figured it out. And so they just decided, and I think they have to run that end plate back then, but I think it might have been Massa, but they had to run the end plate back then, but it actually made the car faster when this thing was dangling off the side of it. So in rare cases, you can sort of gorilla your car into into speed, I guess. It happens. And in iRacing, of course, because of the damage or because of the model might not be totally perfect. Obviously, the models in this game are unbelievable. They're gorgeous. The damage model is incredible, but it's probably not quite as sophisticated. Sometimes you might not even really feel something like that a whole bunch. But it did look in that case like you're probably going to feel that with that tire exposed.
Could you imagine, extreme soft body physics in a multiplayer sim as big as iRacing?
Wow.
Could you imagine the net code?
Yeah, it would be wild for sure. Like Wreckfest style.
I was even thinking
system.
BeamNG
or BeamNG system. Yeah, you'd need a supercomputer too to get all the all those things happening. But to be honest, that's definitely in our future. I would think. I would imagine iRacing's probably already on something like that, and if it's possible, and how to do it. We know massive updates coming these days. Some really, really cool stuff down the pipe for iRacing. I am very excited about a lot of it, and it just continues to get better and better. Even these car models, beautiful.
Yeah, the Miami Autodrome just added, as well as Adelaide, 2 street circuits. I remember way early back when. I don't feel like iRacing had any street circuits until very recently, unless and by very recently, it's a relative term, right? iRacing's been around in some fashion since 2008.
Quite a while, yep.
Yeah, quite a while. But I feel like street courses, very, very new in a relative sense to the service.
Yeah, definitely. We had some kind of wireframey ones there for a while, I think, until they finally kind of
Long Beach
filled those in. Yeah, and we finally got the full version. And what is it? Belle Isle's been around probably for one of the longer ones. But yeah, I know you're right, and I think that just comes down to the popularity of iRacing, the popularity of sim racing, being able to get those scanners and stuff out to these tracks while they're set up for the week or two that they're set up, and having the people actually know what the heck these guys are doing with their scanners and why they're here in the first place. I think we're kind of making some headway in that space when it comes to this. So hopefully we'll see more, because I'm a big fan of street tracks. I really, really do love to see Toronto, even though they don't do it there anymore, unfortunately, or Vancouver. Actually, one of the only motor races I've been to, I used to go to the Molson Indy every year. Yeah, back in the day. It would have been in the 90s, early 2000s. I used to go to Toronto every year and watch the race. And holy crap, man, the front straight's just incredible. Nope, never made. I did live close out to there, close to Edmonton. I actually lived, fairly quite a bit farther north than Edmonton, believe it or not. In the middle of nowhere. My dad, truth be known, was in the Air Force. He's an Air Force man there. We lived out on a testing facility, Air Force testing facility, way up north. So we did go to Edmonton, but never saw a race there. No.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. I love that era of all of the different tracks that they started going to. Obviously, Denver had a street circuit. Washington D.C. Am I thinking correctly? I don't think D.C. had a street circuit.
I'm not sure about that one, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was just a fictional Little Corsa track I put on years ago. But, obviously Cleveland, everybody knows about that street circuit. Goodness me. San Jose? That was crazy.
Yeah, there's some old ones. A really cool game that does that, actually, just on a totally another topic, is AMS2. AMS2 has some very cool classic stuff in it. It would be very cool to bring some of that into iRacing. I'd love to see some Can-Am cars and some old tracks or something, or an old version of Interlagos or something like that would be very, very cool. I think it could be a cool series, sort of like our FROC series here, where we're kind of going back in time. I mean, how cool would it be to go back in time and race some of those old tracks too with a series like this? Would be very cool.
Oh man,
yeah,
racing a kind of a Group C car. Or like you said, a Can-Am car just in general, for one big series. How cool would that be? Turbo, loud, so much power that you don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah,
just unbelievable action here. So we have turned this into SMB podcasting.
A little bit there, yeah.
Yeah, the drivers here got a little bit strung out after just a barn burner of an opening half of this race. But with 7 minutes and a couple pennies to go here, we do now have at least one battle happening on track, and it's Jeff Jacobs trying to chase down Jake Mackey, the lone silver class driver, while they are in their own championship battles within their class. They all receive points based on where they finish in the overall time charts at the end of the race. And this is a really solid run here for Jeff Jacobs down that backstretch, trying to just stay in the slipstream here. Later on the brakes, a little bit non-committal from Jacobs, but Jake Mackey opens the door up for him easily, way too wide on the corner, and Jacobs gets the move done easily. Didn't really have to do much.
Yeah, that was a pretty forceful move right from the onset there. I think maybe Jake Mackey kind of saw that one come and saw the aggression come, and was like, okay, I'll facilitate that one. And that's kind of what you have to do. A lot of the time, it is the best thing to do. If you see somebody catching you and they're, a tenth or so faster than you, it's not a bad idea sometimes to just let them by, try to attach to the back of them, and find either A, what they're doing, or just use their draft and see if they can't pull you forward, especially this late in the race. All you're really looking for maybe from Mackey now is a little mistake out of Jeff, and if you can stay close to him, then you might have a position. So that's what I'd be thinking right now. But that was a great move from Jeff Jacobs as well. Nice and forceful, well done and clean. Like to see it.
Yeah, 100%. No questions asked that didn't get answered there for Jeff Jacobs, as he's moved into the top 5 here of this race. And I feel like as we go up throughout the order, the next potential move I could see happening here before this race is all said and done is Michelle Squirick, who has been chasing Chester Guidry here. Casey Knight, had that self-spin in race number 1, but is so far up the road that he could have an off-track event and maybe still come out with the lead.
Yeah. At this point, almost. So you could have a fairly good off-track event there, and you can almost have a spin, and come back on, and make it at this point. But yeah, I have a feeling here that Scart's probably going to catch Chester Guidry here, and but we'll see. There is a bit of damage on the front is the reason I say that. We know Chester's got some speed out there and some consistency, but with that extra damage, I'm not sure. We only got about 5 minutes left here. Scart's really fast around here, so I would imagine we're going to get a battle out of them at the very least here. It's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to get around them, as Aaron Sunday proved to us for the first half of this race here, and made it very interesting to watch there for the first little while, putting on such an amazing, just wide shoulders for sure, and did it nice and clean and everything too. So very cool stuff there. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a race on our hands between these two in a lap or two.
Yeah, just a little bit. It is the most hopeful of the potential passes still to come in this race before we see that checkered flag. I still think with a third place finish, Michelle Squirick easily does leapfrog Mike Dam in that pro class battle, but we don't 100% know, right? That's the thing. Michelle Squirick is still going to be going for it here. Entered in tonight. Joshua, do you recall how many points down?
No, I don't actually. Unfortunately, that's producing these things. We were saying in the run up there. Sometimes producing these when you guys are talking out there, it's sort of like, when I was a photographer and taking pictures of shows, I'd go see a whole band and then be like, what? I don't even retain one song that happened. I was too busy looking through my camera. And I kind of the same thing happens here. I stare into it and I'm trying to pick cameras, and there's literally sometimes you guys that I'm like, who won at the end? Because I'm so concentrated on just trying to get that shot correctly. But when I do the talking, it is a little easier to kind of retain both things, which is odd, right? It's strange how the brain works.
So I'd like to say it's odd, but I can't, because I barely recall sometimes some moments. Like in the moment, like I'm with you, right? We can talk about what's happening, but my goodness, sometimes you just black out. When I was doing PR and I pay attention to one driver's race, and I was paying attention to the entire thing, right? I was listening to the radio calls. I was making sure all the media members, knew what was going on, whether it was a pit reporter or something of the sorts. I had no idea who won some races sometimes. Like, I just didn't. I'm like, I know what happened for our team and our driver, but I didn't know what happened outside of that. Oh, he won? Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's easy to do. You got a lot happening and stuff, especially if you're kind of maybe new to it, or even if there's just a lot of stuff to do. You know, eventually those muscles get stronger and you're able to kind of flex them a little more. But yeah, there's definitely been times you can see actually Chester now actually breaking that draft, doing a little bit of I believe they call it the Iberian snake in IndyCar. They're trying to get that draft broken, so he's starting to feel the burn, and he's only got a lap or so to hold it off, right? So this is when you want to start kind of deploying all of those techniques. I even think I saw the windshield wipers going at one point, so all buttons are go.
The Iberian snake.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard it as the Iberian snake.
Yeah, I heard it called that sometime. Maybe I just made that up. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was maybe a driver back then who said it. Maybe that's why they said it. But yeah, in any case, when you're snaking back and forth, not really the biggest one. They're only 2 cars long, but you get the picture.
Honestly, I love that. I love that. I love it. It's easy to say, you know, they're just snaking, right? Here's the snake, you know, but the Iberian snake, I love it.
Yeah, because it's some drama.
It does. It adds some gravitas. You know what I mean?
Better word. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm looking at. So I'm actually going back a little bit earlier in our broadcast to see some of the points permutations right here. Now I'll tell you what, Casey Knight might find himself into a podium spot in the AM class. Jeff Jacobs, I don't think is going to have a shot to. Chester Guidry should easily get that AM, or I should say, the AM class championship. Jake Mackey has wrapped up the silver class. There's, the champion Jake Mackey, unless he's DQ'd, which would be crazy. Michael Schumacher style.
Ooh, yeah, that would be. Yeah, well, you know, it's not quite over yet. It can always happen. Actually, I think it just ended just now, so we should be actually getting, I believe, a checkered flag this lap here for Casey Knight, who's going to take the win pretty demandingly too, after a lot of squabbling and argy-bargy there in the beginning. It's kind of really calmed down here for the last bit of the race, and Casey Knight was able to just kind of click off consistent laps here, and is going to take the checkered flag here momentarily.
100%. I mean, this has been a fantastic showing for Casey Knight. Looks like it will absolutely be a leapfrog into P3 in the AM Class Championship standings, relegating Aaron Sunday to 4th in those standings, but still an impressive showing. Casey Knight, race number 2, and a lot better than race number 1, wins the final round of this FROC season in a spectacular fashion, and snaking across the bricks as Chester Guidry holds off Michelle Squirick. That's your podium. Ilya Speaker in P4. 5th place, Jeff Jacobs will take it. Looks like Jake Mackey is going to finish in 6th place, and Aaron Sunday, one driver left to cross the line. And I'm looking back at the championship standings right here. Michelle Squirick in the pro category entered tonight, 33 points down on Mike Dam. I believe it goes by your basic FIA standards, if I recall. And if that is the case, 25 points for a race win, and then you add another 15 points for a P3. We have a swap of positions and a champion in the Pro Series that raced here tonight in Michelle Squirick, unofficially.
Yeah, that could be a bit of a shakeup. I will keep my eye here on the Discord channel and see if we get an official update on that. And if we do, we will most definitely bring it to you there. But yeah, that's a bit of a mix-up as well. That's an awesome result here for Casey Knight at the end of the night. I'm sure that one felt great after a little bit of falling anvils here throughout the season. Able to get a win in the last round here at maybe a track, you know, that you don't necessarily want to be at, or you don't want to drive so much, and able to get the win at it. I mean, that's always good.
I didn't know you could take the shortcut right there through the road course.
But that's a little sneaky
that was
one.
cool. That was quite clever. Casey is actually in the interview area. We only have a few minutes here before we have to wrap this up and get to
Correct.
another show. So we're going to talk to Casey, and then I'm going to have Joshua and you talk to Michelle. Mix it up a little bit before we get going here. So we've got Casey Knight here. Whoa. What's up?
That was my Discord sound. I forgot I have that on. I turned it off earlier.
No,
That's all good.
Keep driving quickly, man. We're watching right now. You gotta. All the eyes are on you, and all the ears are on you too.
Well, my girlfriend's at the very start, front, and finish line. You know what I'm about to do. I'm gonna join her.
Heck yeah! All right, listen. Much better result in race number 2 than race 1. Just quickly take us through your feelings, your thoughts on winning this final round.
Well, I gotta say that was a race of 2 stories. First race did not go. First race didn't go that well, but second race I would say it went pretty perfectly. You know, it was lap 1. At the very start of that, I told myself that I was like, I'm just gonna nail this start. And Aaron took a extremely defensive line against that wall, opened up that middle lane. So yeah, I was going to have that outside line for that first part. If I get a really good run, I could have that inside line for that second part. Third place is out there. I believe that was Jake around the outside. So it kind of ruined that, but Aaron got a really bad exit, able to get that inside. And then he got a really bad run down that straightaway. And I'm like, this is it, round the outside, let's go. And he missed the quarter, but I was already alongside him, and so he just kept leaning on me. And I'm like, this is it, gotta go. And then a big shout out to Aaron for trying to fight and hold off that position as long as he did, because that really opened up that gap. And well, hey, we were able to secure the win with that. And I just put head down, eyes forward, and you know, played a little bit of Freebird at the end.
Heck yeah. All right, Casey, who do you want to thank for tonight's race?
I want to. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you, Michelle. Congrats to Michelle as well. She won race 1. I won race 2. I think that was a pretty good way to end the season for us. It was, yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody at Slow Motion Broadcasting. XMS are putting on this league. I don't want to say Ferrari because this car I still hate. Everything about the Renault Clio and iRacing for getting probably the best service out there.
Heck yeah. All right, Casey, congrats once again. We're going to talk to Michelle now too.
All right, have a good one.
All right, thank you very much. And we will have to skip, unfortunately, Chester Guidry just because of timing constraints. But Joshua, you're standing by.
Hello.
My mic was off. Hey, how's it going, Michelle? Great racing today. I believe that you've taken the championship here. Is that correct? Or have we got was that what we were... I believe
I'm unaware. That would be amazing if it is.
I think it's pretty darn close anyway. I'm not going to announce it quite yet, but that was a great race tonight. You held up not quite as easy to get through the pack as it usually was for you there. We've seen you be able to get through the pack really quickly, but Aaron Sunday putting up some really broad shoulders there, not letting people by. And yeah, it was a very interesting kind of beginning and mid of the race there. How'd you end up getting through it?
Yeah, like you said, I kind of took my aggressive strategy again at the start, and I moved up quite a bit of positions. But then I just managed to get myself a little bit on the outside, and I kind of just slowly kept getting freight trained all the way to the back. And from then on, it was just kind of, once I finally settled back and could get in a rhythm again, it was just, all right, get my head down and start making progress through the pack, which up to a podium, I'll take it. Another lap or two, and I probably would have gotten Chester too. Casey was just way too far up front for me to catch. But, you know, that's amazing. Really happy for Casey's win.
Yeah, a great win up front for sure, and some good fighting back in the mid pack and stuff as well. We did see almost catching Chester there at the end. He's doing a bit of weaving to make sure that didn't happen. He had a little bit of front end damage, so he's able to hold you off. But great racing this season. Hopefully, we have another season in the books here coming behind this one. But this is the last race of the season. Is anybody you'd like to thank out there before we let you go?
So first, I'd like to thank you all at Slow Motion Broadcasting and XMS for putting this league together. It's been an absolute blast to run in, and I want to dedicate this season as well as this win. Hopefully it was a championship, but to my mom, who's been fighting pancreatic cancer. This is for her, and I can't wait for her to see this replay and watch this broadcast back.
Well, that's a great win and an awesome shout out there as well. We also wish her the best as well, Michelle, and thoughts and prayers for her. But this was a great season. Wrapped it up. You gave us all kinds of action out there, so thank you very much for the kind words, and we will see you when we see you on the track.
Thank you so much.
Right on. That was Michelle Skwarek. Not 100% sure if it's going to be the winner of, let's see if we can go to our Discord here. If you just want to take over for a sec there, Dylan, let me have a quick look, and then we'll wrap her up here for the season.
Yeah, I think, obviously our thoughts are that Michelle is the not just race number 1 winner, we know that, but we think also the Pro Class Championship winner as well. Just a phenomenal job by her, and honestly, the rest of the field tonight. Jake Mackey was the only silver class driver, but that does appear to be a championship winner for Jake in that silver class, I should say. And in the AM class, I think Chester Guidry also has more than confirmed that title. But just a phenomenal job by all the competitors here tonight. And all we've got to say is when you can make an 8-car field over the course of 2 30-minute races at Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course look exciting as all heck, you're doing a really solid job. And that's what we saw tonight with FROC. That's what we hopefully provided at Slow Motion Broadcasting. What you seeing, Joshua?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I am not seeing anything definitive here quite yet, so we'll have to leave this one up to the Discords, and you'll have to go have a look afterwards. But what an amazing season we did have here. Some of the oval races were absolutely amazing. Beautiful cars, excellent paint jobs. Hopefully we have another season of this coming up, shortly, or something very similar to it. And it's just been a pleasure to do the production in the background. I was able to actually get on the mic a little bit and do some talking. But let's do our upcoming shows here quickly, and we're off to do another race here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Yeah, we've got a few different series coming up here. Of course, we're off to do another broadcast, and you can keep watching on Slow Motion Broadcasting for some SRGF 4 action that's kicking off in just a couple of minutes. But Saturday, we've got some Weekend Warriors action in Formula V, and then continuing on Sunday on the 21st, some XSLR Cross Series or League Racing before it gets a little bit festive. We've got some more SRGF 4 action and SRGF 3 action next Tuesday and Wednesday. And then after the Christmas holiday, more will follow to wrap up 2025. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in to Slow Motion Broadcasting to watch some FROC action. A great season of races here tonight. And I'm sure the series itself will post some of the champions, some of the victors here. But we had some awesome racing all throughout. Make sure to like our video, our live stream, and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting to get all of the future broadcasts delivered directly through that notification bell. Oh, and click the bell too. You can tell I haven't done this before, the notification bell stuff. But for myself, Dylan Coyle, alongside Joshua Wilkie, we wish you all a pleasant good evening, good night, and good racing.